Hi students. This video is to introduce you to the strategy or the technique of doing a think aloud. A think aloud is a technique meant to help us all become better readers. What we do when we do a think aloud is we read aloud the text, but at the same time, we also say out loud what we're thinking about the text as we read and kind of articulate how we're figuring things out, if we're figuring things out, or what we're struggling with if we're struggling. And I think aloud is a technique developed by teachers, basically, who were interested in exploring ways to help students become better readers. And their thinking was, and research has proven that that they were right, that a lot of what we do as readers is hidden. It's silent, right? You may know somebody who's a really good reader, but just sitting beside them while they read is not going to make you a better reader. If you wanted to become a bicycle mechanic, you could actually go hang out at the mechanic shop and see what they're doing and ask them questions and stuff and learn how to be a bicycle mechanic. But since reading is silent, it's harder for us to pick up the strategies of good readers and to develop them ourselves. So what we do in a think aloud is we take that internal process of reading and we bring it out and share it with each other, so that we can, there are kind of two things going on. First of all, we see what we're doing to figure out a reading, and we also see what other people are doing to figure out a reading. We're seeing where we get stuck, we're seeing where they get stuck. And once we can see that and hear it in a think aloud, the idea is that we can work together to solve problems in reading and explore the reading more deeply. So we're going to be doing a lot of think alouds in this class. The first one you're going to do on your own. And then eventually, maybe next week, you'll do some in partners where you read a paragraph and think aloud to it, and your partner reads a paragraph and thinks aloud to it. And it feels really weird at first. You may feel kind of stupid, because you're sort of saying out loud what you're struggling with, or if you're reading a really challenging passage, as you will be with this first assignment. It can be kind of, it can feel kind of weird to share your struggle with a group of people you don't know very well yet. But by the second or third time you do it, it feels a little bit more normal, and you'll see that everybody is having trouble figuring out the reading. So the sooner we kind of expose our struggle, the sooner we can help each other. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate what you're going to do this week. I'm going to share my screen and bring up the Descartes in a PDF, and I'm going to turn it. Let's see. So I'm going to pick, it's kind of, I'm going to pick a passage that's kind of challenging. One of the things I'm thinking about when I go back to this essay is that, Descartes is looking for a way to discover what's true. And he makes some kind of rules for himself on this page, which is page number 182. He makes some rules for himself about how he's gonna proceed to kind of figure out what's true. And I just kind of want to review that in my head before I find the passage I want to do a think aloud to. He says, the first rule is never to accept anything as true that I did not recognize it clearly to be so. To avoid precipitation, hurry, and prejudice. Like, I might have a bias. I might think My family is all liberal, and so I'm just a liberal, and I'm going to think what all the liberals think. He's saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to accept anything as true. I'm not going to take a position on an issue unless it really seems true to me. The second rule was to divide each of the difficulties which I should examine into as many portions as were possible, which is always a great strategy. Break something down into little pieces. The third was to conduct my thoughts in order by beginning with the simplest objects and those most easy to know, so as to mount little by little. So I'm going to start with the easy stuff and work little by little, baby step by baby step, to get more complex knowledge. And the last was to make everywhere enumerations so complete. So he's going to examine things so completely and surveys so wide that I should be sure of omitting nothing. So I really want to examine everything. I don't want to just examine a few things. So that really stuck with me, and I wanted to remind myself of that before I did the think aloud. But I think I'll do the think aloud to this passage that's on page 184. So in this essay, Descartes kind of, figuring out, how am I going to know things, and how am I going to know what's true? So he's sort of taking us on this journey with him. And he says, I'm going to begin the think aloud. He says, then examining attentively what I was, and seeing that I could feign that I had no body, and that there was no world or any place where I was, but that nevertheless I could not feign that I did not exist. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a second. So examining attentively to me means like paying good attention to what I am or I was, and seeing that I could not feign that I had no body. So one of the things going on is that Descartes sort of thinks, well, maybe all of our existence is a dream. And he's kind of saying it could be a dream that I had no body, and it could be a dream that maybe I'm dreaming the world or Los Angeles or my house. All of that could be a dream. But nevertheless, I could not feign that I did not exist. But that can't be a dream. The fact that I exist. And that on the contrary, from the fact that I thought to doubt of the truth of other things. So the fact that I doubt the truth of certain things, whatever they are, it followed very evidently. It seemed really clear that I was. So he's kind of saying, if I can doubt things, then I must have a thing that is doubting, and that thing must be real. While if I had only ceased to think, although all else which I had previously imagined had been true, I had no reason to believe that I might have been. Well, if I had stopped thinking, even if all else which I had previously imagined had been true, if I wasn't thinking, then I wouldn't think I had a reason to exist, I think is what he's saying. Therefore, I knew that I was a substance whose essence or nature is only to think. So that's how I knew I was real. I was not a dream, because I am thinking, because I have the ability to doubt stuff, and be skeptical about stuff, and which, in order to be, has no need of any place and depends on no material thing. So this thinking thing, it doesn't depend on anything I can touch. To me, that's what a material thing is. So that is to say, the soul by which I am what I am is entirely distinct from the body. So this thing in me that thinks and doubts is totally different from the body, and even easier to know than the body. And it's maybe easier for me to know what I think than it is for me to know everything that's going on in my body. And although the body were not, if the body didn't exist, the soul would not cease to be all that it is. So he's kind of saying the soul, he believes the soul goes on even separate from the body. So that's what I think. That's what I think is going on in this passage. And then if I were going to form a question about it, I guess my question is, I don't know. I guess my question is, what does he think happens to the soul if it, if the body ceases to be, if we die? I guess my question is he saying that the soul goes on and our thoughts go on? I'm wondering if that's what he thinks, and I can't entirely tell from this paragraph. So that's what you're going to do with your think aloud. You're just going to say out loud what you think is going on. You can use one of the sentence frames I gave you on this page of the module. Sometimes that helps. A lot of times what I do when I do a think aloud is I try to put it in my own words, because if I can put it in my own words, I can figure out what I understand and what I don't. If all that happens when you do a think aloud is you figure out the parts you understand and the parts you really don't understand, that's a huge step in exploring a reading. So that's how a think aloud works. Like I said, you may feel kind of clumsy and kind of vulnerable doing it, but everybody's going to do it. So the sooner you dive in and just do it, the sooner we can try to unpack this reading together. Let me know. And you're going to do this on Pronto, so don't forget to watch the video on Pronto. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, take care.